So I understand you are covering this area. So like, are you a kepala of this area or anything like that?
Okay, so in Petaling Jaya, or rather Selangor as well, councillors take care of the whole of Petaling Jaya. All councillors take care of Petaling Jaya as a whole. But each councillor will have his or her own little kawasan to take care even further.
Is this one yours?
No, this is not mine.
Okay, because I thought she can settle my parking.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Black Sea Theory. If this is your first time tuning in or watching this episode, it will mean a lot if you can follow or subscribe to this channel. And we thank you so much for all the support and comments that you have given for our past episodes. And for today, we actually have something special because it's for the first time in TBT's history or her story in this scenario. We have a female guest, and our female guest is actually the Setiausaha Negeri DAP for Wanita Selangor, and also she is the councillor for
MBPJ, Petaling Jaya.
MBPJ. So, without further ado, let us introduce to Ms.Nalina Nair. Welcome to the.
Thank you very much for having me.
It's an honor to have our first female guest.
And it's an honor to be the first female
Because
guest
we
as well.
have always gotten complaints. Okay, most of our audience are actually male.
Okay.
But they have been complaining that this has been a sausage party. So it's about time we satisfied them. So tell us about yourself. You've been living in PJ all this while, or?
Okay, so I've actually never lived in PJ before.
Oh, okay.
I am born and bred in KL, have been always living in KL.
Which part?
I come from Wangsa Maju. I stayed in Oak Lang Road for a while and back in Wangsa Maju again. But I've always had ties, even as a kid, to Petaling Jaya. On my mom's side, my grandparents live here.
Okay.
On my dad's side, his brother lives here, my uncle lives here. I studied here in BAC, PJ campus. So my life has always been somehow in PJ as well. And now I am a councillor in PJ.
So you're a local graduate, like you never studied overseas or anything?
I did my final year for my law degree in Aberystwyth, Wales.
Oh, in Wales.
Yeah.
Okay, so one more thing we noticed about you is that you're Chindian.
Yes.
obviously.
Yes.
So how has it been growing up as a Chindian in Malaysia?
Where do I start? As a kid, before I could even know I'm Chindian, it was never a problem at home. It was not a problem, it was never even talked about at home. Because at home, we're just us. And then when you start going to school and people are confused who you are, like you look Malay, but you're not Malay, but you're not exactly fully Indian, not exactly fully Chinese. And then as a Chindian kid, you start to have these questions.
And then
a
your
bit of
name
an
is
identity
weird,
crisis.
right?
Yeah.
Doesn't start with Chong.
Yeah. My parents named me Nalina Nair. And I always wondered, until now I still ask them, why didn't you name me and my sisters, like for me, Nalina Lee-Nair? And that would be self-explanatory.
Yeah.
But I am Nalina Nair, and the name Nalina sometimes is quite racially ambiguous also. Sometimes
It is,
like Malina, like no Malina, or Nalina, it's not a super Indian, it's not Saraswati or something like that.
Yeah.
Saraswati people will know.
Definitely.
Okay. But yeah, so growing up, I think a lot of other people's their own crisis with identity were mirrored onto me, and then even up to now, sometimes I have an Indian name. I don't look fully Indian.
Yeah.
I don't speak Tamil, unfortunately.
Okay. All right.
I speak Mandarin and Cantonese quite well.
Chinese school? You're Chinese school?
The first 6 years, yeah.
First 6 years, all right, okay.
And after that, my father said, you're getting a bit too Chinese culturally and everything. You need to balance things up. So send my sisters and I to Kebangsaan School and Indian classical dance. To balance things up.
So do you still do Indian classical dance?
No, because politics and Indian classical dance both need
Don't marry
300% of my time.
No, that makes sense.
So it's either or.
But I understand you have performed as Mak Ali once. When was that?
I used to dance more than 10 years ago. Bharatanatyam and Odissi. But then as I went into politics, I had to pick and choose.
So when you started doing Bharatanatyam with, I'm guessing predominantly Indian girls and guys. How were they?
My dance guru was Ramli Ibrahim.
Okay.
So quite funny that my father decided to send me to a Malay guy to get my dose of Indian culture.
Well,
Welcome to
that's
Malaysia.
good. He didn't go with that. I'll only send you to an Indian. So
So yeah, and I did get my dose of Indian culture from this Malay guru, because he was also very immersed into the culture as a dancer as well, and yeah, it was a good dose of Indian culture that I got from there.
okay. So, but when you were growing up with the Chinese kids, how were they? How were they reacting to you? Because you look like that.
Kids don't really care. Kids below 12 years old, they just want to have fun, get to eat during recess and get to play. That's all that really matters for kids. It's only when people start to grow older and then.
True. So what's your tips for other Chilean kids?
I want to say just be yourself, but it's also very difficult to be just yourself. But I think it's to balance things up, especially for me as a politician. I would love to be just myself, but at the same time, I'm also very aware that I need to be seen as relatable.
Okay.
Yes.
But if you're not a politician and you don't have to be relatable to people, then I guess just be yourself.
Yeah.
I understand earlier that you mentioned about the lack of speaking in Tamil. Does it pose a problem for you? Let's say, for example, when you're representing yourself as Nalina Nair, right? So the pre-assumption is that, okay, I can go to her and maybe I can just say like, Vanakkam, I have this problem, and then go with all that Tamil language, right? How do you manage that? And another thing is, if you are telling them, if you are answering them in English or any other languages, do they respond to you in a very negative way or in a positive way?
Okay, even in urban areas like Petaling Jaya, Kuala Lumpur, there is an expectation for Indian politicians with Indian names to be able to speak Tamil. Otherwise, there is some sort of lack of respect. You claim to be an Indian and you cannot speak the language. Do you really then understand my struggles? Because you do not speak my language. And so I go for Tamil classes to be able to pick up the language. And there are certain phrases where I've mastered to sound like to sound like I am a native speaker, and that is very important because at the end of the day, people need to be even though you can solve their problems, they still need to feel like they can relate to you.
Yeah.
So there are certain things that you must understand. I can understand here and there, most of it. But to speak the language, that's where I have some problems. So I always make sure I have friends around me who can help me out with. And there are still people in the urban areas as well who only speak Tamil or are comfortable only speaking Tamil. They can speak Malay, but they're just more comfortable speaking Tamil, especially the older generation. And so I make sure I have at my fingertips always someone that I can ask. Sometimes I get a voice note. And the voice note would be like super fast, bullet train Tamil. And like, oh my God, I cannot understand this. Then I'll forward it, ask a friend.
I'm on the
help me
same
out.
boat, yeah. But okay, so how long have you been with DAP actually?
Every Valentine's Day, I count the number of years.
That's your anniversary.
Because in my membership card, my official date of joining the party is on Valentine's Day.
Oh, okay.
So DAP is my forever Valentine's. This year would be 12 years.
12 years.
Yeah.
So, well, I'm guessing your interest in politics, when did it come up? Yeah.
There's no one answer to that because growing up, my father made sure that his children all read the newspaper for language. And I started asking a lot of questions when Mahathir and Anwar had their fallout.
Okay.
As a kid, I was wondering, two people fighting, what's the big deal? Why are we seeing this on either the front page or the first few pages every day, almost every day at that point?
How old were you at that time?
1997, I was
97.
8, 9, somewhere there.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
And so that was my first political question from my father. And then the questions kept coming in, and my father didn't know he was grooming or raising a person who's very interested in politics. It was only when Hindraf and Bersih came about, the first Bersih movement, that I was really interested, and I was glued to my computer watching what was happening. I just wanted to know everything that was happening. And then that's when I really discovered that, hey, actually, I really do like this and I really care. I really care. It's not just like, I really care about what's happening. And so I just started from there. Yeah.
But did you do any activism prior to DAP?
Yes.
So you did
Yeah.
like what kinds?
My first rally was in 2009, August 1st, the anti-ISA rally.
No.
I see. Okay.
I was still in college. I was studying multimedia design at that time. And I had a small DSLR camera. And I thought, maybe I'll go as an independent journalist and just to take a look, not really as a participant, because I was just curious. After seeing Hindraf, after seeing the first Bersih. And
I was in the first person.
you were? Okay, I was still in school.
I got blasted the water cannon and stuff.
Okay.
It was fun. Felt heroic.
So yeah, that was my first rally. And I haven't stopped since. Yeah.
Nice. So why did you pick why did you pick DAP? Because instead of a party that is geared for Gen Z people like us, so like Muda and all that.
Yeah.
So why DAP specifically?
Okay, the first party I actually wanted to join was not DAP.
All right.
It was PSM.
Okay.
I've always
potential
seen myself,
service.
I'm more left-leaning.
Okay.
And at first I thought PSM, I would be perfect for PSM because I also wanted to make sure that I really fit into the party, because at that time there were a lot of these frogs jumping here and there.
Yes.
And I didn't want to be one of them. I wanted to make sure that I really fit the party, and 10 years down the line, I don't have second thoughts, I want to jump to another party. So I hung out with PSM people. And they are really left-wing, super left-wing.
Yes, they are, yeah.
And I have a lot of respect for them because it takes a lot of conviction
Yes.
to stay on that path and not get swayed.
Not get swayed, because some people do not take them seriously.
Yes. So I've got a lot of respect for them. But for me personally, I then realized I'm not that far left-leaning. I'm probably somewhere a bit more center. I know PSM people listening to this will be like, like center. But then I decided, okay, maybe I'll hang out with the Keadilan people for a while.
Okay.
Get to know them a bit. They've got different ways of doing work. Not to say it's wrong, but it's just not my style.
Are they left-leaning?
They're very center.
Okay.
They're compared to PSM, they are like probably right for PSM people. It depends where you're standing and looking at things as well, right?
Yeah.
And then I decided, okay, I'll hang out with DAP people. And then I realized that, the work culture is very similar to my work culture. And also the ideology. For me, ideology is very important. And the ideology of social democracy, that's where I feel I belong. And that's what I believe in.
Explain how their work culture aligns with yours. Like how does it work in that sense?
No nonsense, really no nonsense. Very straightforward. And so and of course there are some leaders that are more straightforward than some others. Like there are some leaders, if they think your idea is stupid, they'll just tell you your idea is stupid. There's no sugarcoating.
That's nice.
And that's my style.
Yeah, I like that.
Some people will prefer a softer approach. But if my idea is stupid, I would just tell me my idea is stupid. You don't have to sugarcoat it for me. So I like that kind of, yeah.
Which explains you're pretty long there with that party as well, right?
Yeah.
So,
would you label DAP as left or right leaning in that sense?
Center left.
Center left.
Center left. We're not all the way left. We're not all the way center as well. So center left.
Center left.
what DAP though? So, for example, one of the main questions that people actually ask about DAP, not the questions that is posed most of the time, is that DAP is often seen as anti-Malay or very pro-Chinese in that scenario, right? And as a member who has been there for quite a number of years, what do you make of it? And do you think, in the party point of view, are they trying to do anything to break that perception, or they are just fine being who they are?
Okay, so in the beginning, the formative years of the party, if you look back into the leadership of those times, actually very multiracial. Very multiracial
diverse,
in the formative years. And then DAP started to cater to urban people. Not so much semi-urban, semi-rural, but really in the heart of the urban areas, where you have mainly a lot of Chinese and Indians. And that was their expertise, urban, because of the people who were joining the party as well, very urban people. And that's why there was a shift to more Chinese members and Chinese leadership. And then the party realized that, hey, if we are serious about becoming a party in government, then we've got to look at ourselves and say, we have to be more relevant to everybody else. And that's where the party expanded to semi-urban and rural areas as well, including Sabah and Sarawak. We are also in very rural areas in Sabah and Sarawak. And that's when we had more people of different backgrounds, not just Malay, but also, in Sabah Sarawak as well, everybody else coming in as well. And now the party right now, you will see a good mix. Of course, predominantly it's still Chinese and Indian because predominantly we still serve in urban areas. And so you will see a membership that is more reflective of urban areas as well. But now that because we've expanded, we've realized that if we want to become a national party, then we must be a national party. And now you see that happening more as well.
What about, for example, like the urban Malays? Like, are they more like, receptive towards the party, or do they still
Yes.
like, maybe, for example, let's say we target somewhere like in Subang. Orang-orang Subang jangan kecam saya, calling you all urban or whatever. But let's say you're looking at a certain demographic, the Malays in Subang, are they more like, open and more positive towards DAP, or do they have like some questions? If, let's say they are a member
Reservations.
and they're a member and then they see what's happening between the party, do they question a bit like, hey, kenapa tak banyak nak fokus pada orang kita, is always about the other races.
Okay,
Is that
I
happens?
won't sugarcoat things. So I'll take my office for example. So I'm a councillor who belongs to the office of the constituency of Dun Kampung Tunku. And in Dun Kampung Tunku, our office, we have quite a mixture of different races. And some of the Malays in my office, or even within the membership of Kampung Tunku in the party, will say that when they first wanted to join the party, there were reservations from also their family members and all. Hey, you really want to join this party? This Chinese is a China party, it's a communist party. We have people who studied in UiTM, with us, and they also, when they first started out, kena kecam. Really kena kecam by the public on social media as well. But most of the time people start by volunteering first. And when you volunteer, you really get to see the party because groundwork is done and you are there on the ground doing groundwork as well. And you really get to see how the legs and the hands of the party moves. And then because you're in the party, so you also get to see how the head moves as well, the leadership. And then they realize, hey, actually DAP okay je. We always make sure that we so sometimes when Malays hang out with non-Malays, there's always a reservation. Hey, what if they want to go eat non-halal food? And then what do we do? So we've got to be mindful about things like that as well. You want to go out as a group. Of course, you have to be, thinking about, let's go to a place where everybody can hang out together. And
Texas chicken.
So in DAP at one point, KFC was a big thing.
Okay.
At one point, KFC was huge because that was something that everybody could enjoy. And so KFC we were eating a lot of KFC at one point. Before Texas chicken came up. And so, it is just the small things that a lot of people don't think about that can actually create an environment where everybody is welcomed. And so now that environment is there, and when urban Malays who came in initially with all these other voices telling them not to, and now seeing for themselves firsthand, okay, actually.
Understand? What about okay, there's another, like, this popped up in my head, like this thing just came up. What about the recent DAP internal elections? Like, one of the results were, to some, they were questioning the reason why, like, this happened, all that. And I think even that also, there was a question posed about, hey, there's no Malays. Example lah, like there was no much Malays and all that.
That was brought up.
Yeah, it was brought up. So in that scenario, right, does the party still think about, we are going with the right track, we don't need to address this for now? So how does it work internally? That?
So I also was one of the voters for this, the latest internal election. And as one of the voters, I'm actually very happy with the results. Normally for the CC, the Central Executive Committee elections, that's the highest committee in the party. normally, right after the election results come out, the top 30 people will go into a meeting and then appoint among themselves, elect among themselves who takes what position.
Oh.
And usually, they will also decide to co-opt people into the committee then.
Okay.
Because the results might not be desirable, not inclusive enough. Then we've got to add in people so to make sure that the CEC leading the party is
Inclusive.
has everybody
Alright.
in it. But this time around, there was no need to do it because it was racially, age-wise, gender, and also region as in Peninsula
Yeah.
and then Sabah Sarawak. These four things were quite actually well balanced. That means voters, the party voters, were already thinking about it from the start. That when we cast our vote, we need to think about gender, we need to think about age, you need the seniors and you need also young people. Otherwise, we will become an irrelevant party. Then you also need people from Peninsula. You also need people from Sabah and Sarawak if you really want to be a national party. And then you also need, I said race. I haven't said race. Race. You need to make sure, again, if you want to be a national party, you need to have an inclusive, racially,
Yeah.
So this time around, actually quite nice. If you ask me, in my 12 years in the party, being a voter, 12 years, I think it's one of the best lineups that we've had. And it shows that even at the grassroots of the party, people are already thinking properly. When I cast my vote, I have to make sure that, we've got all this in. And this time, there was no need to co-opt. I think until now, we haven't co-opted. The top leadership has not co-opted anybody in yet. Because there's no need.
No need to do it, yeah. So you have a role in doing political education. What exactly does the role entail actually? Political education for your members or for the public, or how does it work?
For me, I think political education among our members is very important. Because unfortunately, not many people talk about ideology nowadays, even within the party. And this is for a lot of parties. And for me personally, I think ideology is very important because that what stirs people to make decisions, especially policy decisions. And that's very important. Otherwise, you're lalang.
Yeah.
You don't have a compass, a moral or an ideological compass when you make policy decisions. So for me, it has to also come from within the party. Of course, political education outside the party is very important for the masses. People need to be armed with knowledge when they go for a general election, not just simply cast a vote. You need to know what you're thinking about when you go cast a vote. That's important. But also within the party, there is a lack of discussion about ideology. I feel. I know some people be like, but I feel there is a lack of discussion about ideology and what kind of party we really want to be. On paper, we're social democrats, but are we truly social democrats? So and a lot of people will not know what is social democracy in the first place. So I think that is very important as a party. And so education also has to be within the party as
So
well.
what's the state? What do you think of? Let's not talk about your party. What do you think about the voters? What level of education do they have, or how mature are they as voters? Do you think at this point?
I can't give a one answer because we don't live in a country where everybody is the same. In terms of where we live, how we think, what we do. We live in a society, even we like to talk about race a lot as Malaysians, race and religion. But even within the races themselves, we hardly talk about socio-economic differences.
Yes.
And that makes a lot of difference. We always talk about race, but even within each race, there's a lot of socio-economic differences. And how we live our lives depends on this socio-economic. Where are you living? How much does your family earn? What kind of schools do you go to? What kind of friends do you have? And so it has to be catered accordingly. Like I know I have friends from school who only hang out with their own bubble.
That's kind of normal.
Yeah, that's very normal. In an urban setting, that's very normal. You go and ask an urban Indian uncle who speaks English. Who do you think will be the best candidate for Prime Minister? They'll tell you Nurul Izzah. They tell you Syed Saddiq,
Yes.
who is Khairi Jamaluddin, but they are not equipped with the knowledge of what is really on the ground.
Mm,
If you go to the kampung and you go and say that, they'll be like, apa benda kau cakap ni? Yeah, so I think when it comes to knowledge, I always encourage people to have conversations. I think that's the best way to learn conversations. As an urban person, I think you should have conversations with non-urban people. And then your eyes open. And the non-urban person also will open their eyes a bit. And I think that's the best way to educate yourself.
Yeah.
In terms of when I vote, what am I thinking about? I'm not only thinking about myself. This is not my country only. This is also a country that belongs to other people as well. And so when I vote, I need to be thinking about all these things as well. But right now, a lot of people don't. So I always encourage people to have conversations with other, just outside your bubble.
So speaking of ideologies, I guess your ideology has landed you in jail once.
Not exactly
not really
jail,
but yeah. So what actually happened for this to,
that vigil.
happen. Okay. So yes, I was not in jail. I also, thank goodness, was not in lockup.
Stupid.
I was just held in the police station. So during COVID, somewhere in 2021, the end of 2021, the numbers of the death toll was rising during COVID, and with a few of us felt that quite a number of us felt like not enough was being done to handle the situation. Could have been done much better. And so we had a small, before the candlelight vigil, we had a proper protest.
Okay.
And that time the numbers were coming down. So it gave, and the MC also wasn't there at the time. So there was leeway to do a proper protest. And then we were planning for a second protest, but that's when the numbers went up.
Okay.
And it was just not the smart thing to have another protest anymore, because then, the virus is going to get transmitted, all that kind of stuff. And we decided to do just a very small vigil in Dataran Merdeka. Ample of space, only around 30 to 35 of us, with enough spacing between us, just to also still make a point. We didn't tell a lot of people. My boss didn't know. A lot of my friends didn't know. My colleagues didn't know that I was going to be there. They only found out after things happened. And so when I got there, there were already quite a number of people that was a bit late. I could really feel the air getting really dense. There's more police than us.
Okay.
And as someone who's done this quite a number of times, you can just tell that, something is going to go off tonight. And I could
feeling,
feel it. Yeah, I really could feel it. That night I made a call to one of my friends who were bringing his friends. I said, I'm telling you this is what I feel. You decide whether you still want to come. So they made a U-turn. And as we made sure we kept it short, just do what we needed to do, raise whatever awareness we needed to raise, and then ciao. Okay? But as we're going to leave, the police asked for our ICs, which sometimes is quite normal.
Yeah.
But they then segregated us, still holding our ICs, women one side, men one side. Okay, that's not normal anymore. And then we started asking for ICs back, and they said, no, you need to go to Dangwangi police station now. So normally, if they are telling you that they would like to investigate, they just want to ask you a few questions. They don't have to drag you and force you, say, now, you must go now. You can always go back the next day, because it's just an investigator, you're not being arrested.
Yeah.
But they said, no, you have to go now. And so there was a whole back and forth, and that's when I decided to go live on Instagram.
Okay.
Normally, when you see people getting arrested, it is through the lens of a journalist.
Yeah.
Third-party lens. But that night, because I went live on Instagram with my own phone, suddenly everybody watching had a totally different perspective.
Which was?
Which was from the first person perspective.
Yeah.
The POV kind of thing.
Yeah.
And because of that, I suddenly had the whole influx of viewers watching it, and the thing just blew up. It blew up. And people were watching for the first time how it is to actually get arrested and dragged into a Black Maria. The Black Maria is the police truck that you see.
Yeah.
So people watched the entire thing. Some people panicked. got calls and stuff like that. And then the women especially put up a fight, saying that if you're not arresting us, because they need to tell. Of course, obviously we're being arrested, but the procedure wasn't being followed. So we were arguing about that. If you're being arrested, you must tell us that we're being arrested. So that went on and back and forth and stuff like that. And finally, we got dragged into the Black Maria and brought to Dangwangi police station, where we were asked to give our phones, surrender our phones. And I said no. Me and another woman, we said no, we're not being arrested. It's not normal procedure. If you go to a police station to lodge a police report for, let's say, a car accident, the police will not ask you to serahkan your telephone, right? Same thing here. So I refused. And with everyone who surrendered their phones were marked like cattle.
Oh, okay.
Their reason being, there's 32 of you, we need to mark you so that when we give back your phone, we know whose phone belongs to who.
Sorry, just to interrupt, but how was the marking process?
Just
numbers with a marker pen.
I thought they actually took like a...
No, on the forearm.
Okay.
So and that is clear cut wrong. There's so many other ways if you want to make sure the right phone goes to the right person. There's so many other ways to do it. But so when I saw that happening to my other friends, I was like, oh no way, no way that is happening to me. I'm not going to allow that to happen to me. So again, I put up a fight. Argued, no, I don't have to give you my phone. I can keep my phone. You don't want me to use my phone? That I can comply. But I'm not going to give you my phone and then get branded like cattle by you. And then the next thing I know, the other woman and I, we had handcuffs coming to us, and we were handcuffed and taken away from the rest.
Okay.
But much later, we joined the rest, took our thumbprints, our fingerprints. I've got a mugshot. Mugshot.
Printed on a t-shirt.
I've not seen the photos, so
No, okay. You've never seen it at all?
no, I've not seen the photos until now, since 2021. And then bit by bit we were released. And so the other woman, her name is Suja and I were the last to be released around 2-something in the morning.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what has happened since then? Like, is there a case ongoing?
Yes. Suja and I have a criminal case going on under Section 90 of the Police Act for indecency in the police station.
And has that affected you in personal life or anything, like a criminal record?
No. Me, no. So the case got thrown out because the judge said that the prosecution didn't have a solid enough case to go on.
All right.
Okay.
And so that got thrown out, but the other side are appealing. So we are back in court again at the case management stage, an appeal.
Why are they appealing? On what grounds?
Because we also have a civil case going on. So we decided to take action, legal action against what happened that night, against the police. The police being one of the parties. And so that case is going on now. We just around 3 weeks ago, we took the stand, all of us and our witnesses who took the stand, and now we're waiting to see where that goes.
Post that event, like, I mean, there could be like some negative perception about it, negative reaction to it, but were they also positive? Like people were like very happy, like, hey, someone is standing up or someone is actually saying something about it. Like what were the...
I think there were more positives than negatives. I had so many... I took actually the next 2-3 days after being released, the next 2-3 days to reply people, thank you. And strangers also. Not just friends and family, but strangers. People I absolutely don't know were messaging me, thank you for doing this. My other friends also got those messages. Some people even made music videos, spin-offs and stuff like that. There's a metal song with my voice.
Oh, that's nice. Maybe we'll try to link it up later.
Try to link it up.
So it was very positive actually. Yeah.
That's good. So, okay, now we move on to your MBPJ activities, right? What exactly do you do as Ali Majlis?
Okay, so Ali Majlis, so in English, city councillor.
City councillor.
Well, for PJ, I'm a city councillor. If you're not in the city, then municipal councillor, or town councillor. Yeah, so for me, I'm a city councillor. a lot of people wonder what we do. Basically, we are also policymakers. Think
Okay.
of us as MPs, but on the city level. Think of us as aduns. They're on the state level, but we are on the city level, where we also make policy decisions,
Okay.
but only for Petaling Jaya. So very similar in that sense, but we don't seem similar because we are not elected. We are appointed.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what kind of decisions do you all make?
Anything to do with the city. Basically from your longkang outside your house all the way. So the moment you step out your house, that longkang, the jurisdiction, normally people, if the longkang is not clean or rosak, they'll call the adun. But people don't know the adun still go back to the councillor. Because it is the jurisdiction of the council to upkeep and to maintain your drains, your roads, your street lights, to things like parking. Parking.
Like something earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the painting of the parking lots, the parking fees, parking fines. It's almost actually it's your everyday life.
Okay.
What you deal as a citizen every day, actually most of it comes under the council. And that's why DAP has been trying to push for local council elections because it's very important. Your everyday lives are affected by how your council makes decisions. Yeah, in comparison with Parliament makes a lot of decisions, but they make a national level kind of policy decisions.
Higher level thing.
Yeah, state also they make state level, but your everyday life,
That's
a
lacking a bit.
lot to do with council.
How long have you been doing this MPPJ part?
5 years.
5 years.
This is my 5th year.
How was the changes since you took, and how was it before you took over?
So when I first became councillor, I was very young, very idealistic, wanted to make changes now. I want to change things now, but then you grow a bit older, you grow a bit wiser, and you realize that actually there are so many things that you need to think and also listen. So many stakeholders to engage. So one of the things that I do as a councillor, I am big on trying to get TNRM, trap, neuter, release, manage, stray dog
With stray
management,
dogs,
into our system. It is not at the moment. Very sad to say at the moment, it is tangkap, and then we keep, and then in some cases, or a lot of cases, lupus. Sad to say, that is what is at the moment. So when I decided, okay, I want to take TNRM and make it part of our policy in PJ, then I realized, oh my God, there are so many people I have to speak to first. It's not about me. This policy is not about me, what I want to do. This policy is about doing the right thing, or any policy for the matter of fact, is doing the right thing, and also listening to all the stakeholders, and for you to now come into the middle of all of these people
how
and
it
decide.
affects everyone.
Yeah, affects everyone. You have to think about the council, operations, costs, all these kind of things. But you also need to listen to, for example, feeders, stray dog feeders or pet owners, because this is an issue not only with stray dogs, but also pet owners, irresponsible pet owners, who then leave their dogs, and these dogs now become stray dogs. So you've got to listen to pet owners, you've got to listen to vets, you've got to listen to so many people. And then you got to listen to KPKT, because KPKT is the ministry that deals with these kind of issues as well. And then you've got to talk to DVS. DVS is under Mak Sabu's ministry. They deal with animals. You also have to talk to them. You have to listen to them. Just so many things that...
So many procedures.
Yeah. And it took me a whole year to truly listen and understand everybody. And then now me as the person in the middle, trying to pull everything together and see what is the best policy to come. It took me an entire year to finally come up with the first policy in PJ to help, not even for TNRM per se, but to help reach TNRM.
But in that scenario, right, what about the common public? Like, for example, like you said, feeders, NGOs and all that. Are they well educated in that sense, or are they the kind of persons that just lash out and complain towards you because they look at you, hey, I can just complain everything to her and then maybe she do something about it.
Not just feeders, not just this is, I think, everyone, because like I said, we are all in our own bubble, right? And so everybody thinks that they are right and they're only their ways, right? Because you're not coming out from a bubble, you don't see other perspectives. And so there is a sense of, oh, my way is right, and I'm telling you this is the only way. And you, as a councillor, you must listen to me because I'm your, your stakeholder. Then it is my responsibility to actually sit people down and say, hey, your way makes sense, but these are also the other perspectives as well. So I will listen to you, but I also need to listen to the other perspectives. And I will also tell you what are their perspectives so that you also understand and you can also help me out at the same time. Because I need the input from everybody to have a well-balanced policy that I can put through to the council.
See. Okay, moving on a bit slightly with you being our first female guest and all that, we want to, we're not trying to sugarcoat anybody here, but we're trying to like slightly touch on the participation in terms of females in political parties and whatnot. What's your view on the current situation? Like, is women or young women's participation in political parties getting better? And if let's say that I'm a woman right now, I just finished studying and I'm like 25 years old or 23 years old, and I want to venture into politics. Should I look at it as in a form of profession and income, or should I also look at it as like, is it like a passion project for me? Like how, like about all that? What do you think about all this?
Which party is more conducive for women?
Okay.
We
So
won't
there are
rat you out, don't
there are
worry.
three different questions here.
Yeah.
One, has it improved?
Uh-huh.
Two, if you are a young woman thinking about going to politics, should I or should I not? And third, which party is the
more
best?
conducive for women? Yeah.
Okay. So I'll take the low hanging fruit lah. I'll take the third one first. Okay. I might be biased because I'm from DAP.
We understand.
But if you ask me, DAP is the party, the more inclusive party for women. We are the only party for the past few years that has a clause in our party constitution where at least 30% of the CEC must be women.
Okay, sorry. What is the CEC for?
The Central Executive
the Central
Committee that I was
Executive
talking about earlier, okay, must be women. If in the case where the party election results do not reflect that, that means there's no 30%. Then the men who scored the lowest votes within the 30, because we elect 30 people to go in, right? So the lowest will then have to make way for the woman with outside the 30 with the highest votes to get it. This time around, so far when that came out, when we passed that amendment to our party constitution, we had to do it in that way. But this time, 30% came automatically. That means we did take some time for us to get there, but the first step, which is to amend the party constitution, happened. And we're the only party who has that in our big party lah. Okay, to have that in our constitution, because it has to come from black and white first. For something to be able to be cultivated and carved into, and also in every level of government, we always try to aspire to that 30%.
Okay.
Minimum. If more than that, fantastic. But the bare minimum is you must have 30% of women. So even in MBPJ, among the DAP councillors, I think there is more than 30%.
Not to party bash, but you're telling me that even a progressive party like Muda doesn't have this kind of clause.
I might be wrong about this, but I think Muda has not had their party elections and party constitution properly formalized yet. They have not had their first elections yet.
No, I see. Okay. I don't really follow them, but yeah.
So technically, I don't think I might be wrong about this, I need to check, but I don't think they formalized the constitution yet.
But do you think like we asked you which party, you just said DAP. Do you think Muda can fall under that same bracket?
I don't see why not. I think they can. I think they're capable of doing it. They've got quite a lot of young women as well. I think they're capable of doing it.
Yeah, that's why I was quite surprised if they don't have it.
I think they don't have a formalized party constitution yet. That's why they and also DAP in the 2 general elections ago, we were the only party with 100% success rate for women in federal and state. That means every woman who was fielded as a candidate won. The problem with elections and women is this: a lot of parties will say, yeah, I look at me, look at our party, we put a lot of women in as candidates. But are those women being put in constituencies where the party stand a huge chance to win? Or are they put in sure lose seats and just cosmetically look at us, we've got a lot of women
Putting them
candidates?
for the sake of putting
Yeah.
them in. Yeah.
But DAP made sure we put women in places where we can win.
Okay.
And making sure that enough women are in the state and federal, in parliament and also in the state assemblies. So that is very important. Not just filling women, but filling women to make sure
purpose lab.
they make it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So-
And DAP had 100% success rate.
Then moving on about that, aspiring female and all that. What do you think? Like, is there a good chance, like for them to come up in politics, or should they just move elsewhere?
Okay, so the second question. I think if you, and this is across whether you're male or female, if you are passionate about something and you think you can bring about change, I think you should just go for it. Because not to say men don't have challenges as well. Men also have challenges, but women have different set of challenges. Of course, we have shared challenges, but there are challenges that are different as well. And that's not stopping any men. Challenges are not stopping men from doing what they want. So I don't see why challenges should stop women from doing what they want as well. If you believe in something, just do it. There will be challenges. There is no such thing as no challenges for anybody. So manage it. And also very important to have a group of people who can be there to support you. And I think that's the same for men as well. We don't talk about this about men because the support group is automatic. You have your wife who will be there caring for your house and your children. You have your mother who will be caring about other things. Then you have your supporters who will be caring about other things. But for women, we tend to talk about support system more because it's not automatic. When I first went to politics, people ask, hey, your husband okay? But men don't ask, hey, your wife okay? That kind of stuff. So it has to be, you have to make sure you have that support system as a woman. Yeah. Just go. Okay, then your first question was?
The financial part. Let's say I'm looking at a long-term prospect. I want to be, example, I'm 20 years old now. I like politics. I just want to look at it as a long-term career. Is it rewarding? I mean, if let's say I'm looking at it in a very monetary and financial income point of view, is it something that is
Feasible?
feasible, or is it just for your passion?
If you are in politics to make money, I have a lot of questions for you. If you are in politics for the money, please go do something else. Go do something go do business. Don't come to politics because politics is not the place for you to make money. If you're coming in with the mindset to make money, then you are bound to get involved in corruption. You've got to have, but I'm not saying don't have, money as well, because you still have to live life. You still have commitments. So it is you coming in with a mindset, I really want to make a change. I really want to contribute to nation building. And at the same time, have a decent life. That, I think, is fair.
Fair enough.
But if you're coming in thinking about money, please go do something else. Yeah.
What about let's just move on a bit. Is there any like future plans or projects with DAP that you have in mind, or personally, do you have anything like you want to do while having some level of authority on this? Like, do you have, like, aside from the stray dogs and all that, right? Is there anything else that you're planning in the future?
Okay, I enjoy doing what I do. And I'm going to give you a very DAP answer, but it is the truth. Whether I will move on to do other things, like become an adun, become an MP or whatever it is, depends on the party. We are but chess pieces. And when you play chess, the queen is the most powerful one, right? But the queen, you're not going to use the queen all the time to make your moves. You will use different chess pieces according to what is suitable at that time. So if I am a suitable chess piece for the party to use at that time, then I go on. But if I'm not a suitable chess piece for the party at that time, then I do what I do currently. And if you have a mindset where you must move up the ladder, then only you can serve the country, then sorry, so lah.
Mm.
But yes, of course, I would like to move up the ladder. Who wouldn't? But at the same time, you must remember that nation building comes in many forms. And in many ways, you can do it. You don't have to must die be an MP.
Yeah.
Must die be a minister to make changes. As a councillor now, I would consider this at entry level.
Mhm.
To bigger things like Adun MP minister. This is the entry level. This is where you learn your basics, your foundation.
The processes and
The
all.
processes and all. Because again, a lot of things come back to the councillor.
Yeah.
And if I continue being a councillor, I still get to make a lot of changes actually towards nation building. So keep that mindset that if you're here for nation building, then in your capacity, can you do nation building? Yes. Why not?
Right.
So speaking of nation building, which politician or which figurehead has been your inspiration, past and current?
Kapal Singh. I'm a kapal girl. I'm a kapal girl through and through. I've always found him very inspirational. And I feel like his convictions are just next level, really next level. Yeah.
We've realized that he's a very strong person in that sense. Yeah.
Really next level.
What about current person?
Currently, I look to a few people. Well, Gobin being the MP of Damansara, that's where my federal constituency is.
Okay.
All right.
And then I have women leaders like Hannah Yo, like Yobin. When I first came into the party and took up leadership roles in the Wanita state level, I had people like Yobin, I had people like Hannah Yo guiding me, and yeah, it was really good. And I think, it's very important as a young woman to have more senior women guiding you, and also pulling you, because they understand me differently compared to like Anthony Lok maybe, or Gopin Singh for the matter of fact. They understand my challenges because they would have gone through the same or similar things as well. So to have that support from people like Hannah Yo, people like Yobi, very important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, just have one more question, or I mean, I think you've still got space for few more questions or whatever. But just going back to that vigil incident, right? That was an incident where you were fighting for something, right? You wanted to, push an idea or push a concept or something, just to get a message across. In today's situation, right? If there's another fight that you like to fight for right now, and it could possibly lead you into another situation or a legal case or police case, but you don't care about it, you just want to push it anyways, what would that be?
Right now, currently, this is tough. So currently, maybe it would be
It's okay, take your time, no worries.
I don't think I have any issues or any anything that would champion for to that point at the moment. And I think mainly because the things that I am championing now are things that I can champion in my capacity as councillor. That I don't need to resort to that. And I should not be resorting to that at the moment. Because things like TNRM, things like better infrastructure, I shouldn't be going onto the streets and going, we need to have TNRM when I'm in the system right now, to be able to make those changes. And if I do that now as a councillor, I'm just going to make more enemies.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be doing that.
It's going to look bad on you.
Yeah, look bad on me and look bad on so many people as well. So the things that I want to do currently all fall within my jurisdiction as a councillor.
Right.
So there is no need for me to do that at the moment.
So how many tattoos do you have?
This is the latest one.
No.
How do people react when you are a representative, right? When they see like, oh my God, who's this woman with tattoos?
Okay, so it really depends where am I, okay? If I'm in my kawasan, I actually have had residents coming up to me and saying, oh my God, Nalina, so refreshing to see politicians with tattoos openly. So refreshing.
Okay.
But if I were to go to a Felda kampung,
okay. I understand.
then I will make sure
They are
I
a bit
have
more
it,
conservative.
I have it all covered up. But not not just because I want to please people, but it's also respect.
It's a form of
two-way.
respect.
Yeah,
makes
it's
sense.
two-way.
Yeah.
If I were to go to a house of worship, maybe a mosque, then I make sure I'm, properly covered. It's only because I respect.
Yes, true.
If I were to go to a Hindu temple, I wear a sari, that kind of thing. So it really depends where I am.
Yeah.
There are some people who are absolutely
Delighted, right?
they're so delighted, like, oh my god, and my sometimes I've like tattoo artists or piercers come and like they see me and like, oh my god, you're in politics, thank you. Yeah.
I take it from your t-shirt, you are not a Taylor Swift fan.
No.
So aside from Metallica, which other metal bands are you?
Okay, I'm the more old school type of person. I'm obviously Metallica, Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin kind of thing. I'm Symphony X, Dream Theater,
Dream Theater,
Opeth, that kind of. But recently, I've been listening to a lot of Bloody Wood.
Yes.
Oh my god, they're so good. Yeah.
My knowledge of metal is probably new metal around 2000s. Korn,
Nah, new metal, okay, also lah.
Korn, Slipknot, maybe something like around that.
I'm a
like,
big SOAD fan. Huge SOAD fan.
Nice. So, what stuff do you do aside? I mean, if you're not like taking care of things like longgangs and stuff, what do you do for pastime?
Okay. Well, in the recent months, I've been majorly slacking, but before the major slacking happened, I would be in the gym almost every day lifting weights because I absolutely love to power lift.
All right.
It makes me happy.
Which gym do you go to?
The gym closed down for a while now because they're under renovation, but Anytime Fitness in Calgary.
Oh, Anytime Fitness. Okay, correct.
Yeah. I usually don't tell people where I go because it's my
You can censor it, don't
alone
worry.
time. but yeah, since it's closed anyway, it just makes me very happy. It is an
Do you
outlet for
compete?
me. No, unfortunately, no, not yet.
Okay.
I do want to, but God knows when that's going to happen at the moment.
Yeah,
you can try, no worries on that.
Yeah, it'll be fine. You can compete. It's fine. I used to compete, so
Since you're into powerlifting, just randomly thinking about this, like, do you get like any like strange reactions from
guys.
people, especially men or whatever, when you say you powerlift?
No. So I think the powerlifting, okay, I go there to the gym. I don't really want to talk to people.
You zone out completely, right?
Yeah, I zone out completely. It's just me and the iron, and that's it. And the machines. Yeah, once in a while I'll say hi to a few people here and there, but really I'm just there to just pump iron. So I don't really get a lot of conversations going in, people telling me and stuff like that. But I am quite open. I am actually very open about it on Instagram.
Okay.
And I've gotten people who give me very positive comments and nothing negative so far.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
What about females? Are they like inspired or impressed by this?
I've got quite a number of women say, oh my god, I want to do this too. How do I start? Yeah.
That's really good.
So you're married or
I'm happily divorced.
happily divorced?
The reason why I use the word happily is because initially when I got a divorce and I told people I'm divorced, and people like, oh no, I'm so sorry, blah blah blah. And then I at the end would be like, oh no, it's okay, don't worry. Instead of the other way around. So then I decided, you know what, maybe I should tell people I'm happily divorced. And it worked.
So are you asking for a friend?
Ada jodoh ke? Saya tak tahu.
we have a lot of friends and viewers. Our 99% male viewers would appreciate it.
Yes, single, open to get to know people. Yeah.
We can be your Tinder, don't worry.
But not very easy because of the job I do. So yeah.
We know.
I think that pretty much wraps up the
Yeah.
episode for today. And anyways, thank you so much for your time, and especially thank you to our guest Nalina for coming all the way.
My
and
pleasure.
Also slight thank you to Cassian if you're watching. Thank you as well. I think you know why I'm saying thank you lah.
Overlay a video of him.
Hi, Cassian.
And thank you so much for the viewer, you watching this episode, and we hope you enjoy this episode. And as always, you can always follow us on our social media platforms, and you can email us. Okay, we have a new email actually.
You just put it on the screen.
But let me try to remember what's the email again. It's TBT at mail2, I guess.
Mailo.
Mailo, oh, sorry. Mailo.com. We're no longer using the old email address, maybe because of numerology reasons or some Vastu Sastu reasons or whatever. So please email us if you have any other questions pertaining to this episode or future episodes. We still have a lineup of guests coming on your way. And then as for everything else, again, we will say thank you and hope to see you in the next episode. Thank you and bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.